session. Hi, welcome to International Women's Day. So excited to share these ladies here today. Hey, everybody, go ahead and do this just because it always looks funny on screen when you see that, when a bunch of people are waving, you don't know what they're doing. But anyway, we're here for International Women's Day, bringing to you women from around the world to share their stories, their message of empowerment, of inspiration, of motivation. You may be sitting at a place in your life right now where things aren't going too well, or you realize that there could be something better, but you don't know the action step to take. I promise you that today you're going to hear a message, a story, something is going to ring true to you that's going to help you to see that this is the action step I need to take. So please, make sure you listen in, share this out with people if you're finding resonance with it. My name is Linda Sunshine West, and I am the founder and CEO at Action Takers Publishing. Our mission at Action Takers is to empower 5 million women and men to share their stories with the world to make a greater impact on the planet. Of course, we do this through books, but I also love to bring stories from people from around the world to share their message. And that's why I'm bringing them here to you today to share their messages. So we're going to go in order that I have you on my screen. And so we're going to bring up Nakessa. Nakessa, I'm going to spotlight you here. And we're going to put 4 minutes on the clock, and I look forward to hearing what you have to share. Nakessa?
Thank you, Linda. I'm Nakessa Frazier-Jennings, the owner of Nakessa Marie Enterprises, where I provide exclusive art representation to my husband, George Jennings, who is a visual artist. My message today is twofold. It's about not giving up and being willing to pivot when necessary. My goal has been and will always be to bring my husband's portrait paintings to the world, as his portraits are of people from marginalized communities. And we want to make sure that as many people have access to those as possible. In early 2019, I was able to pitch a solo show of my husband's work to a local museum. And I came up with a concept and went through multiple steps to get the solo show accepted and approved. The exhibit was scheduled to happen in 2022. And then in early 2020, we had a global pandemic and everything got stalled. The museum had a change of staff and they were closed for a couple of years. And so the exhibition was postponed indefinitely. The exhibit was going to be of over 20 large-scale paintings of Black women and Black girls. And we wanted to make sure that we paid homage to my husband's grandfather's work, to pay tribute to him as his first art instructor, since that was a big part of our work, is to continue to share his family's art legacy. So things looked really bleak, but I continued to search for and finally found a new location, a local art gallery, and pitched the exhibit to this gallery, and fortunately it was accepted. The exhibit started in September of 2024 and lasted for 4 months. We had several events during its run. We were interviewed on the local news, a podcast, and the exhibit, when it ended at the gallery in Seattle, it was immediately picked up and moved to another gallery on Vashon Island in Washington State. The artwork from the exhibit has been seen by hundreds of people, and it's still going strong with multiple other opportunities that have come to us as a result. One of the opportunities is for us to do a children's book, which is something we had never even thought about doing. I thought the pandemic was going to keep the exhibit from being shown, but I didn't give up and I stayed committed to the goal, even though the pandemic was very unsettling, but I stayed focused on my priority. And I pivoted to make sure that the world is able to see this work, and so many have. We're getting so much positive feedback about it, and it's continuing to be seen because I didn't give up. So I just want to implore with all of you all to please be willing to pivot and never give up. Thank you.
Awesome. Wow, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And you know what came to mind when you were saying that is today's situation isn't tomorrow's situation. That's just really like whatever it was that you were doing at that time, 2020 threw us all for a loop, right? No matter what you were doing. And so it really changed a lot of people's lives. And I hear many stories about how it changed people's lives for the better. And so I hear other stories as well, but most of the stories I hear about how it changed, it changed for the better. And that's exactly what's happened here for you all, is that you're you're going from 2020 all the way to 2024, you not giving up, you keep moving forward, you keep saying, I know there's something here, I know there's something here, I'm not going to let it, like, let sleeping dogs lie, I'm not just going to like put it to bed and what have you. And then those opportunities that kept showing up. So it really goes to show that what we're doing today is not necessarily what we're going to be doing tomorrow. And sometimes we just have to keep going. What do they say? You don't fail unless you quit. So it's through your perseverance, you keeping on moving forward, you saying, I'm not going to give up. I'm going to make a pivot. You're going to make a change. And so congratulations on doing that and for sharing your husband's artwork out there. Thanks for being here on International Women's Day to inspire, motivate, and empower people to take action. Thanks so much. Wow, what a great story. I love how she just, kept going forward. And that's the thing is, we don't quit until we don't fail until we quit. It reminds me of Thomas Edison. He says, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I found 10,000 ways it didn't work. Thank God he kept going. Because if he didn't keep going, we wouldn't have a lot of the stuff that we have here today. So, keep going, because what's on that other side is the reward that you're looking for. And sometimes obstacles are going to show up. They're just going to show up. They're going to try to stop us, but we have the choice and the option to keep moving forward. So I'm going to bring up our next speaker, who is Pearl. And I do hear my dog in the background, y'all. And he's hungry and he's saying, Daddy, feed me. So he'll be eating while Pearl's speaking. So this is perfect timing, Pearl. The stage is yours. Look forward to hearing what you have to share.
Thanks so much for doing this, Linda. I'm so excited to be here. So, people pleasing sucks. That's how I felt in 2015. Like, I was everything to everybody. I was every title I was wearing. I was the mom, I was PTA, all those titles that we wear. And if you're listening to us right now, think about, what do you tell everybody you are? You see, I am your yes to you coach. I am the coach that's going to teach you how to overcome people pleasing, because that's what I had to do in my life. In 2015, I lost track of what my vision was. I didn't know where I wanted to go anymore, who I was helping, what I wanted in my life. And I was walking along one day, and after taking a course for 6 weeks where we had to give our I am statement, and I still was saying I was all these titles. I probably would have helped you organize your sock drawer if you asked me. So as I was walking into this meeting, I happened to see this rock on the ground, and it was a beautiful rock. I just picked it up, and I was like, I don't know what this rock is for. I'm going to put it in my pocket. Saying no, we feel like it's such a bad thing. We think there's so much that people aren't going to like me. They think I'm selfish, or they don't care. So I was at this network meeting, and somebody had asked me if I would help them do a fundraiser for this dog thing. I love my dogs, love my cats, but that's just not my jam. So my hand happened to go across my pocket, and I felt that rock. And all of a sudden I was like, no, I can't help you. And I was like, that didn't come out the way I wanted it to, but it didn't kill me either. I was still alive, even after saying no. So I went home that night. I made a commitment, because I had this goal and I had this vision that I wanted to do different things in my life than wear the titles. I was a health coach. I wanted to grow into more life coaching. I wanted to travel more with my husband. My kids were getting ready to go off to college. We were going to have empty nester syndrome. I wanted to be able to work through all of those things. And so as I started making commitment that 3 times a day I had to say no to something, if I didn't, I had to text, email, or call somebody at the end of the night. I started being like stronger in the word no. It didn't hurt. And I learned that I can say no as happy as I say yes. And so as that happened, I started not waking up in the middle of the night. How many people wake up in the night, like midnight, going, oh, I forgot to email, text, make those cookies, go to the store. I wasn't having those thoughts anymore. I was getting more sleep. As that happened, I became empowered to do things like writing a vision book. I actually have a vision book that I did. It's called the Shiro Visionary Guide. And that's a guide that I was using myself to help me start stepping into what I call my Shiro self. And then as I became empowered to do those things, I was walking into rooms where people were like, Pearl, what's so different about you? Like, you look different. I called it my radiant glow up. I was more confident in saying no to others. I was accomplishing the things I wanted to do. Here's the best part. I started walking into that original self that I know that God put me on this earth to do. I always wanted to be a teacher growing up. I was a little late in it. Now I'm coaching women on how to say yes to themselves, how the word no is a positive thing to do, because we have to set boundaries in our life. And nothing stands out stronger than in July of 2022, we want to be an example to our kids. And 2 days before my 25-year-old passed away, he was in the garage and he's like, Mom, can you throw me a bottle of water? I threw the bottle of water and he's like, man, did you not only figure out yourself, but you know how to throw something? Because you see, he was a football player in high school. I could never throw a football. So 2 days later, when we lost him, that's a beautiful memory that I have that lets me remember I have to continue stepping into my Shiro self. So if you're struggling with that, find a way to set boundaries. Start saying yes to yourself, because if you're not here tomorrow, we're going to miss you, and somebody's going to step in and do laundry for your kids, make that stuff, do your job, but nobody's going to be able to be you. So start pouring into your cup and be your Shiro self, because you deserve to open your oyster and go inside and find your inner pearl of greatness. I hope you have a great day.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Is that like one of those big jawbreakers inside of there?
She lights up.
You know, those big jawbreakers, like we used to get these at this what's it called? An ice cream store. It was called
Yep.
Barrels, and they had these huge,
Oh, I
it would
love
take
barrels.
like a month to eat those. Oh my gosh, so crazy. You know, and also another thing, I love what you shared, and you know, saying no to something, it empowers us, but not only does it do that, but it also empowers somebody else, gives somebody else the ability to say yes. So when we say yes to something that we shouldn't be doing, we're actually taking away the opportunity for someone else to say yes to something that they should be doing. And so, and I also love that, you know, setting boundaries, setting boundaries is such an important piece for us. As a recovered people pleaser myself, that people pleaser piece, that sucks, because it's like you're allowing others to totally suck the life out of you. So thank you so much for sharing your message, and just such a great message. Say yes to you. Say yes to you. And if you want your sock drawer organized, do not go to Pearl, because she doesn't do that. Okay. She does not do that anymore. Thanks, Pearl, for your message. Oh, that was so fantastic. I love it. So our next speaker today is Shana. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Shana. And I'm going to bring you up on the stage. I'm going to disappear. And you got 4 minutes on the clock. Can't wait to hear what you have to share on International Women's Day.
Great. Thank you so much, Linda. I'm really happy to be here and to have the opportunity to share a small piece of my story. I am a coach, a business owner, and a best-selling author. And about a year and a half ago, I got very much knocked off course for a while with all of that when I was in a major car accident that resulted in a traumatic brain injury, as well as some physical injuries. I remember shortly after it happened thinking, this really sucks, but I guess I'll be okay in a few weeks or something. And then the neurologist told me that the typical recovery period for a traumatic brain injury is 6 months to a year or longer. And it's different for everybody. So we can't tell you exactly how long it's going to take or exactly what you're going to experience. Which was a very, very depressing message to get. But what I have learned over the last year plus as I've been going through this very long recovery process is how important it is to give yourself grace, especially when you're facing a challenge, especially when you are dealing with something that you can't control, and especially when you really don't know how things are going to be from one day to another. I had several weeks where I couldn't even tell anybody how I was doing. I couldn't use screens. I couldn't look at anything. My husband had to do all of that messaging for me. Dealt with, I had long COVID and dealt with brain fog from that, but this was on a whole other level. Being confused, having, forgetting words, all kinds of things. And it was really frustrating. And I did go to a bit of an emotional hole for a bit. And then I remembered that I have a support system that I have very intentionally built around myself over many years. Fellow coaches, dear friends, family, and I started sharing about what I was going through and what I was experiencing. And I found in doing that a lot of compassion from others that I didn't really realized was there, even though I probably should have, but also compassion for myself and for my experience. And I really found that when I focused on from day to day what I could do, not what I couldn't do, focusing on where I was and what was great about where I was, not the gap between where I was and where I wanted to be, it put me in such a different place mentally and emotionally. And I was able to heal and progress so much faster. And so I really just want to share for anyone who might be going through something in their own life right now that, you know, when it comes to healing, physical, emotional, whatever, or even just chasing your goals, life happens, priorities change, capacities change, and all of that is okay. And the way that you get through that and get back on track is to give yourself grace and reach out to your support and listen to your body.
Fantastic message. And thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I can't imagine what that must have been like, what you've gone through. But, you know, giving yourself grace, having that support system in your life and remembering you have that support system and to tap into them and say, oh yeah, they're there. I don't have to wallow in this all by myself. There are people out there who do want to help me. And then you said, you know, focus on what you can do. Focus on what you can do. Oftentimes we find ourselves trailing off into what I can't do, what I can't do. But think about what you can do. And you also said, you know, the now, like think about the now. What are you living right now in this moment instead of thinking about what you could be doing instead or what have you? So really great message. Thank you so much for sharing it and for being here on International Women's Day.
Thank you.
These have been so fantastic. I'm hoping that you're getting something from everybody. What's one action step that you're going to take? This is a question I'm going to ask you at the end of this session as well, is to ask yourself, what is one action step I'm going to take? There was somebody who mentioned, my writing is so small, I can't even hardly read it. But, you know, there was somebody who said, you know, just to take that one step today, that one step tomorrow, that one step the next day. Really, that's all that it's about. So as you're listening to the speakers today, I want you to think about what is one action I can take today. You don't have to start tomorrow. You can start right now in this moment. What's that action I'm going to take and do it? Go out there and take that step. So our next speaker today is Sharon. I see Sharon. Go ahead and unmute yourself. I'm going to bring you up on the stage. Spotlight you. I'm disappearing, girl. I'm going to give you 4 minutes on the clock, and it's your time to shine.
Linda, thank you for having me on International Women's Day as a speaker. I really appreciate it. And my name is Sharon Tasman. I am a business technology and IP attorney and founder of HT Biz Law and Age is an Asset. And I'm also an international best-selling author. And what my passion is to help women over 40 who want to start and grow a business because it will change their life. And what I want women to know is you are not too old. It is not too late. It is never too late. And that you can overcome things that you think might be obstacles. And I'm living proof of that. I try to use my experience to help people. I was an attorney in big law and big corporate for more than 20 years when I decided to start my own business. Women over 40 start more than 60% of all successful businesses that are owned by women. We have knowledge and age and wisdom that sometimes younger women don't have, but we also have the fortitude and strength to overcome the things that life throws at us. And as I said, I'm an example of that. I did not start my first business until I was in my 40s. After having overcome cancer 4 times and having taken care of 2 parents who also passed of cancer. I had cancer as recently a year ago, and you don't let it stop you. Things that you think may be obstacles can be your greatest strength. And I want women to understand that you don't have to have fear when it comes to taking control of your life and doing what you really want. You know, as I said, I was in big law for a long time, and I realized that my passion, after seeing women in the legal world and in corporate world have to not be able to have the life they wanted because they were bound by the rules, whether it was society rules that you were supposed to play nice, or whether it was the fact that you couldn't really have a career and be a mom or have the time for yourself. Because if you had a big career, it meant, well, you had to be at your work all day long. But by having their own businesses, yes, it can be work, but it gives women a lot more flexibility. And as I mentioned, I had cancer multiple times, but you still can overcome these obstacles. If you've survived divorce or abuse or a health challenge, you can successfully build your own business. And there are women who have walked before you who can help you do this. And you obviously have to plan and prepare. And one of the things is financial preparedness. And that's something I want women to understand, and that I try to help them with, is that it isn't just, I want to start a business. It's the steps you need to do so that you can protect yourself and protect your family, and use all of the experience that you have and move forward without being afraid that you might fail. I started my business, and then one of my parents recurred for their cancer, and I didn't work for a year. You don't expect that, and it's not really the way you want to do it. But by being prepared and having thought out a plan, you're able to move forward. And that's really what I want people to understand, is no matter how old you are not too old and you're not too late to grab hold of your dreams. And you just have to be willing to put one foot in front of the other and persevere in the face of whatever obstacles may come your way. We are stronger than we know, especially when we put our minds to it and put our passion into it. So Linda, thank you very much for having me on International Women's Day. And I hope this has motivated some women to take a step that they might have been afraid to take and to move forward with their lives.
I muted myself instead of unmuting myself. Thank you so much for that. You mentioned at the beginning, I think it was a statistic that you said, women over 40, and it was something in relation to business. What was that?
Women over 40 start more than 60% of all successful small businesses.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
And
doesn't mean you have to wait till you're 40. You don't have to wait till you're 40.
You don't have to wait till you're 40, and there are more than 890 women a day start a small business.
Wow. Go ladies, go ladies, go ladies.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. I love that. And then you mentioned to use your experience to move forward, grab hold and just keep, moving forward. And so, thank you so much for your message that you had to share here today. Very inspiring, motivating to take action. And thanks for being here on International Women's Day.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so next up, we have Mary Elizabeth. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Mary Elizabeth, to add you to the stage here. And I'm going to disappear and I'll put 4 minutes on the clock. Can't wait to hear what you have to share.
Okay. Hi, Linda. Thank you so much for having me and all these ladies. Oh my gosh, I've learned so much already. And I feel really inspired, and I've heard things I need to hear. So I'm so grateful for it. So I'm a mom and a wife. I have 3 kids. 2 are on the spectrum. And my kids have kind of defined part of my journey. And that's why I think it's my word and things I'm going to be talking about is advocating for ourselves and our children. So I'm also a children's author. I'm a radio show host, and then I'm an ambassador advocate for Autism Tennessee and have been parenting for almost 25 years. And so I have just seen along that journey the advocating for not only myself, but my children, and how vitally important that is to all of us in our everyday lives. Because as soon as we get pregnant, we have to advocate in a way that is, we have to eat healthy and we have to drink healthy and we have to take care of those babies that are already inside of us. But it's also very important to do that for ourselves. So along this journey, I have learned, and especially recently, because I'm also a trainer for Autism Tennessee, and it's all about the early signs and symptoms of autism. It's about advocating for your kid. It's about getting early intervention, and it's about the difference between success and failure as a child. And for a parent, I know that's really super important to all of us, but along that way, and helping our kids, we have to advocate for ourselves and making sure that we are taking care of ourselves. We are standing up for ourselves. We are taking that time to re-energize and take our batteries and recharge them every day. It's really important so that we show up and we can be that our child might need for us. I had 2 nonverbal kiddos. And so I had to really learn and educate myself and get empowered so that I didn't feel like a victim and that my children didn't feel like a victim in their lives. So I think it's very important for us to educate ourselves and become more empowered so we go from being a victim to a victor in our life, because we do not know what life is going to throw at us. I have had a child who was abused in the school system. It was very traumatic. I had to stand up and testify in court for her. I had to then approach lawmakers trying to change law in our state. So we don't know what we're going to be up against, and we don't know where advocacy is going to show up in our lives. I do also know and appreciate those of us who are trying to do everything we can for our kids. And sometimes it's really, really hard. But I know that with education and with support systems, we need to reach out and get that support that we need, not only for our children, maybe early interventions and therapies. We need to do that for ourselves as well, because we're just as important. And we have to do that so that we can show up and be that mom or that grandma or aunt or whatever that child may need for us. So with the platform that I work with in education of advocacy and training parents how to be more positive, how to have a better relationship with their kids, but also how to teach kiddos who may not be able to communicate, that's just something super passionate for me in my life. And it's really important that we learn and reach out and get those supports that we need. And Linda, thank you so much for having me. And I'm hoping along my journey with my books and all the work I'm doing that I'm helping to share awareness so we can make the world a better place, because our kids need it for the future. So
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mary. And there were a couple things you mentioned there, advocate yourself, advocate for others. And as was mentioned earlier, Pearl mentioned, about being people pleaser. It's making sure that we're setting those boundaries as to the people that we are going to, advocate for, because we can actually take from ourselves when we're advocating for others. So just being careful with that. But then also, this is the thing that I think is so important, especially for a lot of women today, is to learn how to stand up and speak out. Learn how to stand up and speak out, because you have a message, you have a story, and something that people need to hear, right? And so then the more that we learn to stand up and speak out, even if it's just sharing our story at the beginning, that can lead to us being able to advocate for others and advocate for ourselves later. And so, becoming that, victim to victor. Don't victimize yourself and stand up for yourself. Mary, thank you for the empowering message about being able to step out of that comfort zone and do something that you might not otherwise do, but you've done it because whatever the circumstances are. So congratulations for all the work that you're doing. And thank you for being here on International Women's Day.
thanks, Linda.
And last up we have Jessica. I'm going to bring you up on Jessica. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Jessica. And looking forward to what you have to share. I'm going to disappear, put the clock on. Let me know if you cannot see the clock, or if you're going to set your own, so that we can make sure that
That's exactly what I'm going to try to do right now.
Okay, yes, I want to make sure, because I know you're on your phone there, so I want to make sure that you're able to see what the timing is on there. And you ready to go?
I think we're good. Yeah, because I have a clock in front of me just in case.
Okay, here it goes. I look forward to hearing what you have to share, Jessica.
Awesome. All right, perfect. So hey everybody, thank you so much for having me here, Linda. I am super pumped and very excited just to be amongst so many powerful women as a whole, especially just celebrating International Women's Day month and just really being present in the midst. There's so many stories here that I'm able to relate to, from the young ladies who have talked about having their children who are on the spectrum, to mental health issues, to redefining and rediscovering yourself as a whole. And I feel like being able to be in a space where you can share your story and understanding that it's powerful and that it truly matters makes a difference. That's something that I had to learn back in 2021 in particular, especially being a mom of 3 young people. One of them who also falls on the spectrum as well. And just understanding that I was in a relationship that I thought would be long lasting, but learning that everything doesn't last forever. Everything that glitters isn't always gold. And I learned that back in 2021 for me. And it was in that hour, you're coming into the pandemic. I just had a baby not that long after. So he was about 5 months old. So, dealing with postpartum. But I caught myself in this phase of life where my relationship was ending, life was moving, and I didn't know who I was anymore. And this was an opportunity really where God recaptivated my heart. And he got me in a really good space because my son had actually almost died due to a rare blood disease just prior to my relationship ending and right in the midst of the pandemic taking place. So my emotions were all over the place. But I'm grateful for the way that it happened, more so because it allowed me an opportunity to pause. It allowed me an opportunity to say, God, is this all that you have for me, or is there truly more? And at that same time, he pulled me out of the job that I was in. And I didn't truly understand that I actually needed to rediscover him and rediscover me. I needed to be able to get into a place where I can consider myself to actually be worthy of receiving love and being loved wholeheartedly. Not succumbing to the abuse of verbal words and combats and notions of people doing the most in the household, or having to relive the experiences of my son who was battling through blood disease and recovering from that. It was where I had to truly understand that prayer and being on my knees was where he was going to meet me. It was where I was able to affirm my beliefs in who he was, and affirming that the qualities of which he placed inside of me could be transitioned and transferred into other industries. I didn't have to succumb to managers who wanted to fire me because of my influence that I had on my peers, but that he would use my voice gladly overseas, and that I was able to impact people through blogging and podcasting with my movement, Ignite Your Glow. And it allowed me to be able to help other women see beyond the walls of their home, that they can do more, that they are able to impact other people, that there are doors that are opening for them if they would just begin to leverage what they already know. And that's the journey that I've been on. It's helping other women to know that you know plenty, that there is always going to be somebody who knows a little bit less than you. And if you can take what you already have and package it in a way where your audience can see you and hear you and visualize themselves through you, that you can then bring them up with you, because we don't have to leave them behind, because we're climbing this ladder together, looking at every failure and setback as an opportunity to be able to see it as a stepping stone to our future. And our future is truly filled with gold, filled with treasure. And y'all, God had me sold out for him on this journey, and it changed everything. And I'm grateful. Thank you so much for allowing me to share my testimony.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing. And I love what you said leverage what you already know, because there will be others who don't know what you already know. I think I might have messed up the way I said it, but you get the you get the gist. And then also grateful for what happened. You said I was grateful for the way it happened, because it gave you a reason to pause. And I think that's really important piece for us. Like, while we're going through the storm, we don't see what's on the other side, but we have to keep going through that storm to get to the other side. And so thank you so much for sharing your message and reminding us that everything that glitters is not always gold. It's not always gold. So it's finding the gold in it. Sometimes that's what we need to do, is just find the gold within that. So thank you so much for your message, being here on International Women's Day. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Wow, that was so fantastic. I just love all the messages that were shared here today. As we've seen from the other sessions we've had several sessions on International Women's Day. If you haven't seen them all, just go look at our channels. Like, if you're watching us on YouTube, they'll be there on YouTube. If you're watching us on Facebook, on LinkedIn, they're going to be there on our page. We are Action Takers Publishing on all of those pages. This is just so fantastic. You're hearing all the different messages. You're never too old to start something new. Don't let fear stop you from taking that step that you need to take in order to live the life that you want to live. Don't let your failures stop you. Let your, realizing that there are opportunities on the other side. Also, just, letting know that when you say yes to you, it's not saying, when you say no to somebody else, it's not saying, I don't know what I'm trying to say there. So forget that one. Okay. But give yourself grace. Like I'm giving myself grace right now for like, I don't even remember what I was trying to say there, but I'm giving myself grace because it doesn't matter that I messed up there. What's important is the messages that were said here today. If you didn't get that message, go back and hit replay because you'll hear the message there. So ladies, thank you so much for sharing your heart, your soul in order to empower, inspire, motivate people to take the actions that they need to take in order to live the life they want to live. We're here at Action Takers Publishing, helping you to get your stories, your messages into the world to make a greater impact on the planet. You can check us out at actiontakerspublishing.com. Again, my name is Linda Sunshine West, and it's been so great to be here with you today on International Women's Day. Go out there. What is that first step you need to take? Ask yourself, what can I do right now in this moment to take an action that's going to change my life? Don't procrastinate. Don't try to do something else. Don't come up with an excuse. Go out there and do it. You got it. Thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate every single one of you ladies for being here, sharing your messages of inspiration and motivation.